Hello, how you going? This is Ian Harris from Australia. Today I'm going to do a basic lesson on how I've got two canvas boards here, and then one I'm going to have dry without retarder, and the other side is going to be using retarder and using it in a moist way with water and whatnot. So just so you can see the difference that this retarder that I use to get my style, how it works and how it works without it, okay? Alright, I've got it written up here. This is without retarder, it's going to be the dry side, and over here it's going to be using retarder on the moist side. So what I'm going to do is a simple sky colour with some clouds, okay? And some of you might find these problems wrong with your work, some of you might not, some of you might learn a hint or two from it, okay? So we'll get some white on the board first. I'm going to do this one first and then clean up and then do the same procedure on this side here, just so you can see the actual difference how the retarder works. All right, I've got my two separate piles of white. Now this side here I'll keep with the retarder in it. So first off I'll do the other side. So I'm just going to load this brush up. And we'll paint this board here. I haven't sprayed it, I'm just using the impasto white that came in the bottle to prime this one up, okay? Okay, that one's done. Now we'll go to the other side. All right, the other side, I've got my white. I'm just gonna bang me brush dry on my apron there. I've got my puddle of retarder and I'm gonna get that into the brush, enough to prime the board. That's all I need to do. Alrighty, so normally I'll give mine just a light mist of water, just a light mist, so this is going to sit on there and spread. When it's not wet and moist, it grabs everything. You want your paint sometimes moist, wet. When it's wet it can flow. Alright, this has retarder in it, and I've sprayed the board, okay? So just keep an eye on these. This side has with retarder, this side's without. Okay, now we're going to put some colours in there for the sky, and then we'll do some simple clouds. Down here we've got our phthalo blue without retarder. So I want to cover up the board. I'm going to use this brush again. Alright, so I'm just going to, we want a blue sky at the top and we want it sort of going down to an atmosphere, so I'll get the blue on there and bring it down to a white horizon line, or a lighter blue. Okay, now I want to add a bit of white just to get that blue lighter at the bottom. A bit more. Just so as we've got dark at the top, light at the bottom. This is just a quick lesson to show beginners how to accomplish some clouds. Okay, now that went on there okay. To me it looks brush marky, so I'm going to try and blend that with a brush to blend it. What I can see is happening is I'm putting some swirl marks in it, but that doesn't matter. You want a nice clean dry brush for when you do blending. That'll do it. Now we'll get this side done with the retarder. Alright, I'll just put a dollop next door to the paint like that. I'm pushing the retarder into the brush, then I'll bring the paint into the brush, and then that's mixed with retarder. Alright, now let's do this one. To the untrained eye, you might not notice much of a difference, I'm not sure, but people that's had trouble with paintings would know what I'm on about. Get the paint on there. the bottom a bit, I'll get that top a bit darker first, and then I'll lighten up the bottom. So I'll load up my brush again. The top's darker, come down, twist the brush. See now this, because this size has retarder in it, it's picking up the white from underneath. Now I'll get a bit of white on my brush and bring the bottom up as well into there. Okay, I've done that. I want to grab my blending brush. A lot of people ask, what brush do I use? This is just a 2-inch brush from the hardware, but sometimes when you buy them brand new, the surface area here is very narrow, like so. And when it's narrow like that, it's very hard to blend the way I do. Because this is pillowed out the way it is, it gives me all this beautiful fluffiness to blend. Now I'm going to blend this. Now I can feel this is wet. The blending is grabbing and mixing. I can feel it on the brush. Now you also need to get the work done in your wrist. It's all in your wrist, not your arm. You don't want to press too heavy, you don't want to be there too light either. You want to sort of get the job done so things aren't drying before you need them to. So that's blended. I can bang that brush and then just lightly perfect it. Okay. Now down here I've got structured white. This one was very sloppy, so to speak, runny, where this one has got structure to it. It's structured paint. Now we're going to paint with our fan brush. I'm using a fan brush, so I'm just going to pull it out, load the fan brush up, get it in the edges of it, and then load it up. Now this is without retarder. Okay, and I've just got about that much paint on. Now we'll do a simple, we'll do two sides. So one side you can get your brush and twist it, but as you're twisting it, you're twisting your brush as well, okay? Twisting it, twisting it, twisting it. Sort of making artistic looks with it. Put that down, grab your blending brush, and let's blend that. That's blending. We want to blend down into the atmosphere. Always dig it along there like so. Sometimes you can just tickle the tops a bit. Now you've got to clean this brush, okay, before loading it up again. So I get the bulk of it off in a container here, and I use my rib section there, wipe it on my Hello Kitty cloth, and then we load it up again. Okay, and normally you want your clouds to have another layer in front of them. Okay, so we'll do the same again, twisting, chippity chop, chippity chop, chippity chop, just so as you're leaving the grey, the dull colour in between the two layers of clouds. You'll find when you do clouds your own way, you'll always have your own style that creates your signature in your paintings. People can recognise your work by the way you do your clouds. Now, I'll bring that down to the atmosphere. Now that's blending okay, but when I do the other side with retarder, you'll see the difference. Now I normally put some long ones like this, just to give it the attitude that that's the bottom of the clouds. Okay. Now before this retarder dries, we better go and get some into that as well, okay? So we'll clean that brush up, get the blue out of it, the contaminated blue. We'll get some on this side. Now even though I've used retarder on my side there, I don't use retarder in the cloud paint, otherwise you'll get too many scratch marks in it. Now this side we're going to see, I can see this flowing onto the board a lot different. A lot different. Put it down, bang your brush. I'll blend that. Now this blending with the retarder inside there, I seem to have a lot better control merging it into the blue a lot softer. And if you can get your clouds looking like whipped cream, you've got to be pretty happy with that. Now we're going to clean this again. This one I'm going to do the crosses. Cross, 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 cross in front of it, just like that. Where I had it on there and smudging it around, it kept it a lot paler blue and white. It didn't leave a white crisp on it like this has here. Okay, so there's two different ways. I'm going to show you on this side that different way. Okay, so we'll blend this into a bit of a cloud. And it's totally up to the individual how you want to do them. If you want to do a moist style or a wet style or a dry style and blend with a brush where it's just almost tacky dry. Now before this retarder dries, I'll just put my little long ones down the bottom and blend that down into the bottom. Now as I'm blending these little ones, I'm using the edge of the brush. Okay? I'm not just coming up here and blending it and letting you work out how I'm doing it. I'd like you to know how I'm holding the brush to do it this way. Okay, and then you can start blending that down. I'll do the other side of the one with retarder in it first, because if the retarder starts to dry on me, it's going to spoil what we're trying to achieve here. So I'm loading up the brush again, how I showed you earlier. Now this side, notice this side how it's pale white. Now because I'm going to crisscross this one on, it'll be different. So I'm just doing the cross, just like that. Okay? Don't even think about it. And then I'm going to blend with the edge of my brush, the corner of my brush. Feel it, you're going up and down as you're blending. Blending, you're sort of creating different depths, light tones and darker tones in your paint as you're blending it. Excuse me. In my previous video, I had a friend, Diana Hexton, and I realised I didn't introduce her on film. I did, but that bit got cut. So I'd like to thank Diana Hexton for coming and seeing me and having some fun with me that day. We had the kettle on. We had all sorts of stuff going on that day. It was a great day, and she did two wonderful paintings. I'm getting the white again, and I'm going to put my other one in front of that. Crisscross. I'm on and down. I'm not smudging it into that blue, because that blue's wet. Okay? Don't think how you're going to do it, just do it. Smash your brush on your apron if you have to. You've got a lot of moisture in there. It's going to blend the way you want it. And you need to practice this first if you're not too familiar with it. Now I'd like to get that blended, get that edge done there, get this blended down into the atmosphere. They're a bit cramped on here because it's only a small board, but that doesn't matter, we're just showing here. Now we'll put my little long ones along there just to give those short ones in the distance. Leaving the tops. Some people can make the mistake I've just seen in their work where they've blended too heavy. Okay. Now I don't know if you can see the difference there. To this top one, to that top one, it's got more white on it, because that one I did it in the circular motion. Alrighty, we're on to the other side without the retarder. Again, I've got clean paint, my clean fan brush. I'm just comfortable using my fan brush. Now this one we're going to crisscross. So we'll crisscross, dab, all over, and in front of there. Now I can see straight away that is just white on blue. Okay, of course this one I turned it in, it scratched it in and got some shadow. Now we'll just see how good this blends up Yeah, it's blending okay, but the only thing I find, I'll tell you in a minute, is the edge, you can still see it under your blending. Where over here, it pulls that away. If that ever happens, sometimes you can try a bit of water. Let's see what a bit of water does. I'm not too familiar doing this, but I'll give it a go. Because sometimes you can get water dots over here and it'll bleed through your paint and it'll ruin it. There we go, we're sort of able to scratch them out. We've saved it. I'll be doing some close-ups of this just before the end, so you'll get to see exactly. Now this I need to, we'll put another one here. Crisscross, crisscross. Blend it in. Sometimes you've got to work out, oh, I've got to quickly put that brush down and pick the other one up. But the one with retarder, without retarder in it. If you could see the quality of those clouds. Okay, and then we'll go to the other side. This is with retarder in it, the moisture style. These clouds are just, I do these in most of my paintings are for beginners to learn how to do something easy and achievable. So, but also on the same hand, I don't want it to look like a grade 5 kindergarten cartoony thing. I want you to be able to pull off something as this. If I can do it, you can do it. I ain't nothing that great. I've only been around since 2012 whirling my brush on canvases, okay? So it's just how much you desire you want to do it. And learn as you go. Everybody's still learning as they go. And there's nothing to it. Nothing to it at all. So, also the blue skies, sometimes I like to break up with a bit of mist, as people that regularly watch my videos would know. Just gets a bit of distant mist in the sky. I'll give that a bit of water. There's a bit. See, the retarder's dry, but that's because I'm stopping to show all you buggers out there, okay? Not everything works out good on camera. But anyway, that's something else I normally do a lot of. Now don't worry if you've done a painting and you think, here's a painting I did, what's wrong with it? It doesn't matter how perfect you are in a painting, someone can always come along and say this, that and the other's wrong with it. It doesn't matter. All paintings are art and all paintings are different. None are better than the others, okay? I always say this. And if you're having fun doing it and it's great to look at, that's all that matters. You might miss things out in one painting, but if you feel and learnt they needed to be added in your future paintings, you can incorporate it into it then. So these are a lot of things you've got to understand as well. Don't feel intimidated if you think someone else is better than you and you're putting it up there, because I get a lot of questions and messages from people wanting true comments and critical comments on their work. They don't want me to say, I don't say it's nice. They want me to be truthful, and I do my best to be truthful. And sometimes I don't need to tell them nothing. Sometimes I might say this, that or the other. But I ain't no specialist scientist in painting. I ain't nothing great. I'm just telling you my view, okay? So this was a nice, easy cloud exercise for beginners, okay? And this is with retarder, this is without. Let's say we put some paint here, right? This is pretty dry. We'll put some paint there, right? Now this brush is dry. You can get this, and it's a short-haired brush. It's strong, it's got muscle, it's got grunt, it's got balls. And then this is pushing it in to the undercolour painting, and you can virtually leave the area you want to stay white, bring it in. Sometimes you've got to wipe it, it can be too messy. I would not do it this way when I'm doing it with retarder, because you can get all this, what I'm doing now, you can get all this result with the big brush I use to blend it in. Okay, so feel free to ask anything you want, and remember, so long as you have fun and your painting looks good, that's all that bloody matters, okay? All right, I hope you enjoyed that little exercise. Steve's just woken up and he wants a feed, so I've got to feed the little man, don't I, eh? All right, so share, like and subscribe to all my videos. Tell a friend if you like what I do, but tell everybody if you don't like what I do, okay? All the best, goodbye, good luck, and good on ya. Say goodbye, Steve.